Welcome to the Cheer Athlete. Have you ever been told that you need more stability or more mobility, or you just need to get stronger? Have you told your athletes that? What if those aren't actually three separate goals? What if they're actually different expressions of the same movement system? In this episode, we're going to talk about creating better mobility and stability and strength and why they all need to work together. People often think that if it's muscles are tight, you need to stretch more. People come in my office all the time. I need to stretch more. Or they say, oh, I've got bad posture. I need to strengthen my posture and strengthen up my back so that I can stand up better. And they think that they're weak, so they need to strengthen it. Every day I hear people saying, my balance is just bad. I'm really unstable and I have to do balance exercises where I'm just holding still. But movement really isn't all that simple. And it is not that clear cut. One exercise is not going to fix everything. And the body doesn't think in categories, it actually moves in connected movement systems. I've talked a lot about rotational systems and the front line and the back line, and all of these movements and these cross patterns have to work together to get our body functioning properly. It's also not just the muscles that we look at. It's also our brain has to know to send the signals and get the movement pattern to our legs to be able to raise our leg forward. Our muscles and our joints need to go on a stretch to get them to then reflexively contract so the joints will move just the right way to be able to swing the leg forward as we walk. We need to have that controlled rotation. We don't just stand still. We have to allow ourselves to move. It's that controlled movement that creates better function and less tension in our body. So let's talk about mobility first. What is mobility? Mobility isn't just flexibility. Everybody on Facebook wants to say, I need to increase my flexibility. What can I do to increase my flexibility? What stretches can I do to increase flexibility? But having flexibility is just being able to move your leg or your arm through range of motion. That is important to allow the tendons and the joints to do that. But having mobility is actually being able to move through full range of motion and being able to control it. For your shoulder, if you can't control the motion all the way up, but you have that motion through and you can do all the range of motion, but you actually can't control that, then do you actually have quality movement and quality mobility? Someone can have full passive shoulder range of motion, but struggle to lift overhead and without arching their back and compensating someplace else. They might have range of motion, but they don't actually have the usable mobility. In cheerleaders, we see it all the time, right? Somebody can pull a heel stretch lying down on the ground. Somebody can pull a heel stretch standing on the ground, but you try to go and control and come up in the air, you need the hip mobility, yes. You need the hamstring mobility, yes, and then the knee to be straight. You also need the core control, and you need your body to react with balance and be able to hold steady and course correct. And then you need the strength to be able to get up and hold yourself up there. So all of that put together. For an adult, same thing. If they are trying to bend forward to touch their toes, on social media this week, I've been talking about bending forward and the different components of needing to bend forward. We bend forward to touch our toes. We put on our socks. We bend forward to pick up something off the ground. Hopefully everybody knows right now I got to bend my knees a little bit and don't just lift from my back, but it's okay to bend it. We're supposed to hinge at the hips and bend forward, but that requires control, that our hips have to go back and that our legs have that length for us to be able to flex our spine and reach down to the ground. We need upper back flexibility or upper back mobility at the same time as lower back and legs. And it's not just the one motion. And you also need core stability to be able to pull you down and be able to pull you back up. What is stability? I talked in the beginning that people come in all the time. I had somebody just in there today. Oh, my balance is really off and my one leg is worse than the other and I'm off. And I'm always like, well, you didn't fall down. So is your balance really off? If you're not falling down and landing on the ground, you may not have a true balance issue. Balance is very complicated. Balance, first in the inner ear, that's a big driver of balance. You also need your eyes. They do a lot of course correcting. So these tiny, small components of our ears and our eyes really help to stabilize our stability, stabilize our environment, stabilize our body in the environment. And also it's controlled by the ankle and the ankle, how much the ankle moves, which is driven by the hip, which is driven by the core. So we need all of those to work together. When we look at stability, we want that fine control so that we don't wobble a lot. But the truth is, even holding still, if you stand up and you put your feet hip distance apart, you close your eyes, there's always an inherent amount of sway. We have gravity that affects us, right? And it pulls us back and forth. If that sway is a lot and you're really wobbling, that's a problem. If it's just a little and within a millimeter, that's normal. The mentor I talked about last week, Gary Ward, did an experiment, put people on a fourth plate and just had them stand still. And as they're standing still, there's always an inherent squiggle on that fourth plate showing up. We have this range. The key is we want a nice big range that allows little movement that we can move in. And when we can control that and fine tune that to stabilize it and create the minimal amount of patter in our sway, we have better stability. So stability is the ability to control movement and not eliminate movement. We don't want to just eliminate. We need to be able to move. We just need to be able to control that. You can notice it when you're standing on one leg. That's one key motion that I check to see how balance is. Seeing a little bit of wobble in the foot, totally normal. Someone is rolling to the outside of their ankle and trying to compensate that way, that needs some correction. If someone can't land from a jump and stick it, they come down, they land, they just hold and stick their jump, that's stable. If they're coming down and their knees are collapsing, you don't have that stability in through the hips. Or if you're landing and you're taking off if you're trying to improve your round off into handspring and you don't have that control to land your round off to then go backwards and your knees are collapsing and you're not getting the alignment through your hips, you don't have that quite stability through the hips to be able to help you and gain that power. Constantly, we are trying to get those small adjustments. So when you have a flyer in the air, if they are wobbling all over the place, get them down. They shouldn't be up there. That's number one. We all know that. They're having to stand on people, right? An uneven surface. We can try it on the ground and try it on a stun stand, and we can try it on a Bosu, which will create a similar thing. And that, in creating that on the ground, it actually creates the brain awareness of, okay, I know where I need to be. I know how to course correct, and I can just create that little bit of stability and try to hold as much. There's always going to be some little wiggle. It could be from the bases because they're not holding completely still either, and they can't. But it's the degree of it. And the same thing with a flyer. Flyer can't hold completely still, but we can train them to create the little amount of movement by creating better stability in through their ankle, their knee, their hip, and their core. For an adult, the same thing. We land jumps, we are going downstairs, we are climbing in and out of the tub. All of those fine ones where you're shifting your weight from one foot to the other when you're walking, you need to have that little bit of, it's normal to have a little bit of motion there. It's just how much that will feed into and create that stability. So when I talk about movement screening, we're trying to look and see, I do a single leg stance, I do a squat, I do touching your toes, leaning backwards, twisting, going down onto one knee. All of this is looking to see, can they do it with good control? And what does their motion look like as they're doing it? Not looking for perfection. I want perfection, of course. We're looking for, can they actually do the motion and do they have control, or are they slopping all over the place? We talked a bit about the flyer needing to constantly make adjustments and write that and having that feedback. So one exercise you could work on the ground, this could go for adults or for cheerleaders. If you're trying to improve balance, stand on one leg and toss a ball. Make them reach outside of their base of support so that they are able to control that without having to put the foot down. Adults, if you're trying this, I support you. Be in a safe place. Make sure you know what you're doing. Don't just, if you feel like you might lose your balance, get your control and cross short passes. Then start to pass out of your normal range. That will help with walking on uneven ground. Again, not looking to stand as perfectly still, but trying to create little bits of challenge to give feedback and provide the neuromuscular feedback called proprioception and kinesthetic awareness, and giving some extra challenge to stimulate that feedback up to the brain. That will help on creating better stability in general. When we look at strength, isn't just about lifting heavy weights. Yes, it's important to lift heavy weights. It's important to be able to gradually pick things up, because in life we have to do that. Cheerleaders have to lift people. 90 pounds on a flyer or 120 pounds on a flyer divided by 4 people, it's still a lot of weight to lift overhead. And it's not the weight, it's that for the flyer, they need to be strong enough that they can hold and control that motion, and then to be able to help and get up in the air. And for the bases, they need to have the strength to be able to do the coordinated timing of it, to be able to produce that force through the motion. If the movement quality isn't there, the strength is often going to reinforce a compensation. So if they don't have that quality control in their hips, their knees may cave in as they're trying to come up underneath the stunt. If a flyer doesn't have the control and the stability, their knee may drop in, and that's going to make their foot roll, and then that makes everything go wonky. And then they can't pull their leg up as high. So we don't want to add strength to dysfunction. We want to get good form and find the way to train in better alignment. Sometimes there's going to be, if it's working, that's fine. But it's those ones that are like not creating that stability. And if the knee's really dropping in, the foot's rolling in, and you're twisting and you're creating more torque, it's usually going to create some pain. And then we don't have that stability. So don't load up a posture that's going to do that. We want to train to get there. And there's lots of things you can do to regress that, to keep building strength, to be able to get there and do that better. If one example that I might do, if somebody is squatting and they are dropping their knee in, take them out, don't squat. Get down, do some split squats on the ground. Work on just half kneeling and work that control. Get the ankle and the hip stable so that the knee lines up right underneath the hip, and that they work that control. And then you can throw a ball at that position and work that balance and not letting them lose their control there. You can work on split squats going up and down and training just single leg. They're going to need a lot more control. Its brain's going to automatically go, I don't want that. I need to go that direction. I want to keep it here. And they're going to start to train them so that they go to squat later. That helps. A squat is a tough pattern because a squat is not as simple as it seems. And we want to have we need good ankle mobility, good hip mobility, and good strength and core strength to be able to do a squat. And a lot of times we just think it's just a knee motion, but it's not. It's a very coordinated motion. And if you don't have the stability, the mobility, the stability, and the control to do it, and you're going to go load a dysfunctional pattern, that's setting us up recipe for disaster. More leg strength doesn't automatically, you can have all the power of the world. It doesn't automatically improve tumbling if the athlete can't actually control the landing. I had a girl this week who was working, she was doing her box jumps, as was her program from college, and she was getting towards 11 or 12 reps and was fatigued and caught her foot, and she just tweaked. As she caught her foot, it actually tweaked up into her back. Now I like to train lower reps on the plyometrics. I like 3 to 4 sets of 5 repetitions and take a break in between, training that power and really focusing on sticking the landing and making things solid. It's not developing the power, or it's not developing the endurance in it, but developing the ability to stick and getting the power to get higher and land it. That shows you have good control. Doing that is going to carry over better and more efficiently to make tumbling better, or jumps better, or stunting better. Same thing on adults. If you want to be able to pick something up off the floor, doing more deadlifts isn't necessarily going to reduce your back pain to be able to do that. You need to have the mobility to be able to get down to pick things up from the floor. And over time, as you have that control and you have your hip hinge and you've got the mobility through your knees and your lower legs, you can pick up heavier weight so that it is easier to pick up that 5-gallon water jug that is crazy heavy, but that controls and it allows you to train your hips better so you use your muscles more efficiently. Why can't these all be separated? If you don't have mobility, your body can't access the position that you want to get into. That decreases the stability because you're not going in your full range of motion. And then because you're not having that strength, that stability, and that mobility, your strength is going to go down over time. If you have core stability, someone that's hypermobile and doesn't have that joint awareness, you get a lot of feedback from your ligaments that helps provide with knowing where your body is in space. So you have poor stability, the brain is going to limit motion, is going to tighten up, and then your mobility decreases. And if somebody has poor strength and they can't control the motion, then the motion actually becomes more unstable and you risk dropping your. So in the example of a squat, your knees go in, loading it up, the knee just goes in more because it can't control that. So you need all three: mobility, stability, and strength. Mobility will give you options, stability will give you control, and strength allows you to use them both together and be able to progress and do more. None of them are going to work in isolation. I want to share my screen now and show you an example of if somebody needs some mobility or stability. So if you're listening to this on Spotify or iTunes, keep listening. Don't stop while you're driving. Keep going. Go home later and check it out on YouTube. And if you're not subscribed on YouTube, please like it, share it, subscribe, because you'll be able to see more videos. I'm trying to do more exercise videos, and I do have one actually coming up this week. I'm going to talk about how to control ankles rolling out to the side a lot when you're doing a single leg stunt. So I'm going to give some exercise examples. But so if you don't have that, definitely go look for that. I'm going to share my screen. Here. So this is my nephew, Trevor, and he was very kind when I taught an evaluation class for cheerleaders. He was very kind to come and be my example. So we're going to go into a toe touch with this. Hopefully. There we are. Flexion. For this, you're going to face the side. That's the full out to the body. You're going to turn to the left. Start with feet together. We start there because we want to keep the sequence the same all the time. Working, trying to get fingertips to toes. I'm going to pause here, and I just want to point out, we look and see his upper back is more rounded, his head is up, his hips don't shift back a lot, and then he can't get down to his feet. So we'll come back and talk about that in a second. So we look and see, does he have that actual mobility? We want to see somebody that shifts their hip back, shifts their hips back, and they have a nice rainbow curve. Their head should look between their knees, and they should be able to just get down there and hang out. What I want to know, do you think that this is a mobility factor? Does he need to stretch more? Or is it a stability factor? Or is it a strength factor? What I see, there are ways that I break this down. From there, I'm going to go and look at what do his legs do. If you think it's a mobility factor, is it coming from his legs? Is it coming from his lower back? Is it actually coming from his upper back? Because that's a lot of curve in his upper back. And we got to figure out, just going in and stretching his hamstrings and forcing him to touch his toes is not going to make that pattern better. And likely is going to pull something. The other key piece, we could look at his ankles, and the back of the leg would also be affected by that weight shift. So it's a whole back line. And when we look at that trunk flexion. So really important to know what is the purpose and why we're doing an exercise? What is our purpose and what are they supposed to be looking like as we are asking them to go through different exercises and movements? I see this with a lot of female cheerleaders too. We think they're of course, they're supposed to be super flexible. They can't get quite to their toes, but usually they can get there. They can palm the floor, but if their hips aren't shifting back and their head is up, then they're seeking more core stability. For Trevor, It's probably a mobility factor. I think some of that is he's trying to get there from his upper back, doesn't get into his hips, so he might need more hip mobility versus hamstring. I do know I checked him. He also has some hamstring restriction and does need to stretch his hamstrings, but not just his hamstrings alone. It's his calves, his hips, and then it's his core and needing to get that core stability. So you could have two people look similar, but they have very different reasons for why they need. One needs more mobility, one needs more stability. Very often in adults, the same thing. I worked with a runner who she was a dancer in her youth and now is running, and she used to be able to touch, she used to pound the floor, but now she can't because her body was seeking stability. She couldn't get her hands to the floor. We trained her to get her hips back. We corrected the motion we worked on her lateral quads, got her quads a little stronger, got her learning to hip hinge again, and she was able to improve that mobility. And now she's got a nice round curve through her back with control, and she's running without pain in just a short period of time. So I did not give her hamstring stretches to get there and create that mobility. So whether you want a cheerleader that's going to progress, or you're an adult and you want to be able to pick up the laundry basket, stretching alone isn't enough. Strength alone isn't enough. We need that mobility, strength, and stability to go together. If you'd like to see more of these, please let me know. I would love to break down your movement, and I can break that down. One, I will give you exercises and because I want to be able to show you how changing what you're doing is going to help. Maybe you do need strength, but just tweaking a little bit and creating better movement will help you to create better workouts for yourself and for your athletes. So if you're interested in learning more about that, send me a message on Instagram and let me know that you're interested. And I'm going to do these screens to keep building awareness and keep moving forward. So let me know and we'll talk some more details on that if you're interested. So let's talk the 3-step process. First, we want to improve the movement options, allow more motion, explore motion, try to create bigger movement. Then we want to improve the quality, the stability. Can they do it with control? And then we want to build capacity and build strength and push into our training and our endurance and all that. So create the better movement, improve the quality of the movement, create movement that allows us to move better, create better quality, and then create capacity and build on that. In the app that I have developed, that's exactly what we do. We have a mobility reset. So every day you go in, you check in, and you can tell it where you feel stiff or where you might feel restricted. It will give you specific exercises for you. And then you get into your warm-up where you are using that mobility, but also creating some more stability and just waking the muscles up and priming them, getting them ready to go. And then you get into your strength workout. And you finish at the end, do what everybody wants to do, is just do some recovery, nice, easy stretching. So putting that all together can be very helpful. And again, if you're interested, that information will be in the show notes as well. The next time someone tells you that you just need to stretch more, or you need to lift more, or you need to work on your stability on a BOSU and stay as still as possible, remember this. It's not just one thing. And you can't just work one thing to create better movement patterns. You've got to be able to do it all. Every movement you make is a combination of mobility, stability, and strength. The goal isn't to just do one. It's to help keep them working together and you moving forward as a whole body. I hope you have a wonderful week, and don't forget, when in doubt, breathe out. Take life one step at a time. You can do anything you put your mind to. And as my friend Drew Keller said, you're responsible for your own vibes. So go get the day.